woke up in the desert. Like I've been dropped out of the sky. You got a name? I don't know. I'm gonna need you to come with us. Wouldn't do that if I was you.
Yeah, that's Lonergan, boss.
I want that man. You give him to me now.
I need to know where you came from.
So do I.
You don't remember anything.
They're coming back!
What in the hell were those things?
Why are you asking me?
They've got my son, my wife.
I need that weapon.
It's the only thing that counts.
What about the other people? Are they alive?
They won't be for long. You just have to work together.
Come on!
Who is she?
She's the only one who knows who I am.
You know who you are. You just have to remember. They'll come back with more, and there will be no survivors. It's what they did to my people.
I've seen good men do bad things. Bad men do good things. You go get our people back.
They're here.
Should we step in?
Looks like he's doing fine.
God damn.
Welcome to They Call This a Movie, testing the strength of friendships one terrible movie at a time. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and podcast services by searching They Call This a Movie. We are part of the Main Damie Network, and to find more from us, check out the website at themaindamie.com or on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at The Main Damie. We're also now a proud member of Geek Vibes Nation. You can find them at gvnation.com. Welcome back to They Call This a Movie. This is Anthony Delvecchio. With me, as always, is Dan Quino and Mark Meyer. Say hello, gentlemen.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Yeah, so I had an event that occurred for the second time in my life, and I've made me think about if you guys have ever experienced this. So we'll talk about this a little later in depth, but I went and saw Last Night in Soho on Sunday. Went into the theater, and by the time, the picture came on, there were only 3 people in the movie theater, counting myself. So my thought is, have you ever gone into a movie thinking, oh, this thing's going to be popular, I see it all over the place, and then you walk in and the crowd is a lot less than you were expecting? Or even just a little less? Like, just a surprise at how not crowded it was?
Post-pandemic, it's been like every movie, I think.
Yeah. So it's at this point it's kind of I'm expecting it. Also, I always go on non-peak hours.
Okay.
Mhm.
So I guess a Halloween Kills was a little less it was a little more empty than I expected. It was like a Friday afternoon though. I don't know how many people have this sweet deal I have of, I get to basically clock out at noon on a Friday, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to think back. It's kind of because now we have to go into the before times, and that feels like an eternity ago.
Yeah, I didn't even consider this one like pandemic related. Like 3 people is still low even for pandemic, afternoon showing on a Sunday.
Yeah,
I don't think this movie was marketed that well, to be honest. I didn't
That's
see
going
too
all
much
over
of
social
it.
media to be. So.
Yeah, I don't know what their real world kind of marketing was for this because I don't have cable.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wasn't expecting too much from this because it is an Edgar Wright movie, so it's like people in the know are probably more interested in it and than your casual moviegoer. But I'm trying to think. I don't even remember what my my theater looked like because I saw it Sunday as well, like a 1 o'clock showing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
trying to think. I'll tell you the exact opposite
Which
is
one? That would be fun too.
a movie that was a packed audience, and then the returns on that for that movie was abysmal. Was Grindhouse. We saw that in a packed
Mm.
theater
Yep.
midnight show in
Yeah.
college.
Yep.
That must have been 10% of what that movie made that
Yeah.
week was that single showing. I mean, I think it made $8 million that weekend,
Yeah.
and there must have been 500 people in that theater.
Wow.
Like
Whew.
there
Yeah.
was
It was full. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely full college crowd, midnight. It was a
Yeah.
midnight screening. So that was surprising to see those returns come back of
Yeah.
like this movie is not going to make this movie's bombing
Yeah.
based on that experience.
Yeah, just for those curious, my first time was going on a Friday of opening night to use my free ticket as a movie theater employee to see Rules of Attraction, and there were 6 people in the theater on a primetime Friday night, and I'm just like, oh. Needless to say, that movie was out of the theater the next week.
Bret Easton Ellis is just not a draw anymore.
Nope. I was like expecting to be like half full. I'm like, all right, there's a little like not highly, but 6 people on an opening like 7 p.m. Friday show. I'm like, yeah, this isn't gonna look good.
Yeah,
Sunday.
you just went
The
because of
more I
Dawson.
think about it,
Oh,
the
yeah.
more I think about it, I don't really pay attention to how full or how empty the theater is, because I'm such a basic bitch. Because I just see like the movies that everybody goes to see. It's like very rarely do I go and watch. Like Anthony, you go see more experimental movies, things that aren't super popular in theaters. I'm just basic. Like I'm gonna see the action movies. I'm gonna see the horror movies. I wait till the really really good ones come out on demand, and I'll watch it at home.
Mhm.
So most of the time my theaters are always packed.
Yeah, I don't, and I rarely, like I said, I think the only times I go to peak hour movies, and I haven't done it since the pandemic, is when I go with my wife. So I can't really remember a time when we went to a theater and it was like, there's not a whole lot of people in this theater right now. That doesn't bode well.
Yeah.
I
Because
saw Frozen 2 with the wife, and there wasn't a whole lot of people there.
We saw
Yeah.
Frozen 2, and it was pretty packed.
Yeah.
Yeah, because those
I
are the
don't
movies
remember
she
what time
likes.
I
We
went.
we go see Pixar movies and Disney movies, so those are always pretty big.
I will say the most awkward I felt in a movie theater was when I saw Teen Titans Go, because I thought, I was like, oh, all right, well, it's on Cartoon Network, adults watch Cartoon Network, and I was the only adult without a child in the theater, so that was kind of strange.
Was it just you?
No, there were other people there.
No. I mean,
Did you go by yourself?
Oh yes,
yeah.
I was by
All right,
myself.
that
which
makes it even
again,
better.
Yeah, that's why I felt if my wife had been with me, it's vastly less creepy. I was
Yes.
like, oh, it's all right. It's it's a couple. That's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a guy in the back, just hanging out watching Teen Titans Go with all the other kids. Not a great look.
Yeah. All right. So segueing right into that, Dan, did you watch anything this week?
I did. I finished up obviously the Halloween weekend. We watched and we had a nice little party, and you guys were there. I hope you had fun. We watched some horror movies. I'd never seen Rocky Horror Picture Show, and we watched that. Speaking of Edgar Wright, Shaun of the Dead, finished out the night, I believe.
Yeah, that was the only reason I got home really late. You put on Shaun of the Dead. I'm like, well, I'm watching this whole thing.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
and then you put on the TBS version, which meant there were 3-minute commercials at point.
yeah, goddamn YouTube TV. There's 9 commercials in a break.
Yeah, but it's
Unbelievable.
Shaun of the Dead, so I was like, yep, I'll stay.
It had the cursing too, so that was
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
I was happy with that. So you give a little, you get a little. And then Sunday, the wife and I we cleaned up, and then we had horror movies on in the background. The one movie that I watched of note that I'd never seen before, and I thought was interesting, was a movie called Terrified, and it was on
Okay.
Shudder, and it's from Argentina. So now I can kind of say like I'm traveled, I'm cultured. 'Cause I watched a movie with subtitles in it.
I will just interrupt and say Halloween is Forever podcast. Steve, who's been on the show, they actually just covered it as one of their showdown episode. One of them picked Terrified as their movie for
Nice.
haunted house movies. So check that out if you're listening to this Halloween is Forever podcast. Fun show over there. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it is definitely a haunted house movie. It's Conjuring-esque in a way. Pretty bloody. Some good atmospheric jump scares, and it gets right into it too. It's a little bit of a slow burn in the middle, but the movie starts out with a bang. Ends pretty grisly. It's a good movie. If you don't mind subtitles, obviously give this one a go. Again on Shudder. I think it was a Shudder exclusive. So yeah, go definitely go check it out.
Okay. Mark, I'm assuming you haven't watched anything besides the big one.
And the things we watched on Halloween. So
Yeah. This past week, I kind of stopped watching things that I hadn't watched before, and I wanted to just watch some classics. So what did I watch? I watched You put on Nightmare on Elm Street. I had watched it earlier in the week as well. We watched Hocus Pocus, The Haunting of Hill House, the original. Just kind of going through the classics. And then on Sunday, I decided because we had to wait for trick or treaters because they weren't coming around until 3. Hit the theater as Mark did, and we both watched separately Last Night in Soho. So, Mark, why don't you
Yeah.
give me your thoughts of Last
Yeah.
Night in Soho? As a reminder, Dan has not seen it yet, and this movie is rather new, so let's keep the spoilers to a minimum.
Yeah. I want to talk most of the positive stuff and just touch on slight negative that you also tweeted about on there. But you can tell me if it's the wrong part of filmmaking, what I'm going to say here, and correct me. But the cinematography with how they mix them together,
Sure.
I guess that would be cinematography, is just ridiculous. And it's really well done. And especially, the first act through start of the second act, all those moments were, in the flashbacks were really, really well done. And I love the fact that they kept Thomasin McKenzie in whatever she was wearing to make her like stand out in the crowd so you could find her. But yeah, that was amazing. The 60s London looked like, as well as you could probably make it, trying to transform actual current London into it. Because there's probably some signs that you have to avoid, showing, because you can't cover them over or even touch them up in post because they look completely different. But the atmosphere throughout, at least the first 2 acts were really good up until the climax, which I'm assuming is of the second act. Was really well done, and then Thomasin McKenzie is really good in this movie. For the fact that she's probably in almost every single shot of the movie, almost every frame of it.
Sure.
They needed a performance from somebody, since you had to watch her for the entire runtime. And I think the single most, and this isn't a spoiler, most jaw-dropping scene to me was the acapella Downtown by Anya Taylor-Joy. It fit perfectly. It sounded great. The idea of using that song for that, as Edgar Wright always does with music. I mean, Baby Driver, and just the, all the song cues he has in all the movies. And I think that was the one thing about this movie, is that he still had his sound cues and his little like quick noises to do cuts and stuff like that. That I do really enjoy. Is that I think his only issue in here is he tried to be a little ambitious. And that's why I think Act 3 kind of falls apart a little bit. And then, there's certain decisions that I'm glad that he made, but I don't know if he completely landed it for the reasons why those decisions occurred. Yeah, we can talk about it sans Dan at some point, just so I can be more specific. But
Sure.
and the audience. But yeah, yeah, I'm only worried about Dan. Fuck the audience, right? But I think this movie is one that you need to watch, and it's weird to say it's about an Edgar Wright movie, but just from the sound design in there, it's a movie you need to watch with like either surround sound or on a good speaker system, where you don't get all the little nuances of the things he's doing. But I really enjoyed it. There's only one character that I was really confused by, but they needed that type of character in the movie, or else it makes no sense really. But yeah, I'm interested to see what you thought and any more deeper than my surface level ideas of filmmaking.
Sure. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I do have some issues with it, but overall I liked it. It starts off really strong. There's the scene, and I'm not gonna. There's no spoilers because I'm pretty sure this scene is in the trailer. That there's the scene where she goes to the nightclub, and we're seeing her, and we're seeing Anya Taylor-Joy, and we're seeing Matt Smith, and there's a scene where he's dancing, and it keeps switching between both of them while they're dancing, and it's the same shot. It's like Anya Taylor-Joy's dancing, and all of a sudden he spins her around, and now all of a sudden it's Thomasin McKenzie. And I thought that was I would watch a featurette on how they accomplished that scene. It was really well done.
Yeah, and on that point, not to jump in, but the coming down the steps in the mirror shot is probably one of my favorite shots in the movie.
Yeah. So all that stuff, he's a very strong filmmaker. Even the Cornetto trilogy, all of them are very well made and well directed. And I think what you did say, his ambition kind of causes the third act to be a little underwhelming, just because it's very the ending's very ordinary. It's this movie is so ambitious, and it's successful in its ambition through the first, let's say, hour. And it's very unique, and then it just kind of falls into like ordinary genre thriller kind of trappings, and that's what I felt. And I think it has to do with the fact that this and Malignant sort of are kind of the same in that, because they're both like supposed to be giallo-esque films. They're homage to giallo films, and this movie really doesn't do that. Like in the beginning, it never feels like a Suspiria to me. Like maybe the part where Thomasin McKenzie is a young woman in London. That's sort of like Suspiria, where the girl moves across the Atlantic to go to ballet school or whatever. So it's like those beats are similar, but it doesn't feel like he's trying to ape a giallo film. It's sort of the similar where I think Tarantino's Death Proof fails. It never feels like anything other than a Tarantino movie. But then the third act hits, and it's kind of hits that, okay, this kind of feels like it would be in a giallo movie. And I think that it's a tonal shift that just doesn't work overall. But I still enjoyed it. I said it goes to an ordinary place. It's a little underwhelming in that aspect, but I still like it better. That I'm not a Baby Driver fan. It's fine. I don't see why everybody loved it so much.
It's my least favorite Edgar.
Like,
really, I liked it. I thought it was really good.
I thought it was fine. Like, that's it. It was fine.
I put it above World's End.
I forgot about that movie.
I like The World's End. I think that's underrated.
That's a movie.
I don't think they're definitely 5 and 6 or 4 and 5. What would be?
I would probably go Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz. I haven't seen all of Edgar Wright's film.
Yeah, I'm high on Scott Pilgrim. So
I don't like Scott Pilgrim. I don't get. I'm not a Scott Pilgrim fan either. Yeah, for me it's the Cornetto trilogy 1, 2, 3 at the top, and then this one's probably 4.
Such a sellout, bro.
Why am I? What?
That makes no sense. Yeah.
Explain how that's a sellout.
It does. I'm trying to think.
Explain your words that you use.
Well, I just said it makes no sense.
No, you said sellout. I want you specifically to define how me saying Edgar Wright's first 3 movies are my 3 favorite. How
And
does
then
that
I immediately said
spell
it
out?
made no sense.
You make no sense. You can't
That's
just
what I'm saying. I literally
word
just said it made
vomit.
no sense.
Just words vomiting out of your mouth.
Yeah, so
I,
there's
it's yeah.
um
Like I said, it made no sense when I said it.
yeah,
But
there's
I don't like World's End. It sounds like with the ending with Last Night in Soho. It's the same thing. It's like, oh, it's a cool idea, too ambitious and a little too out there for what
Yeah.
they were trying to pull off.
I don't think I don't think that's what I think. Last Night in Soho, the fact that everything in the beginning is ambitious kind of leads to a very unambitious ending. That's what I think Last Night in Soho fails, is that it's just it feels like something bigger than what it winds up being, if that makes any sense.
yeah,
I would have loved to have seen his Ant-Man, Edgar Wright's Ant-Man.
I would have been interested in seeing his Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been the best directed Marvel movie, I think. Easily.
Probably, unless they were just like, well, I mean, the reason why he left is because they wouldn't give him creative control, really. So
Right. If they had, I think it would have it would have been top 3 for sure, if not number 1.
2 facts about Last Night in Soho that have nothing to do really with the movie that I found out later. 1, apparently Thomasin McKenzie is New Zealander, is a Kiwi. Didn't know that. Would have sworn she was English.
I didn't know.
And 2, there's only 2 other people in my theater, so I can't say normally this would be better. But I was probably one of the few people in the theater that was immediately, as soon as he came on screen, was like, it's General Zod.
Michael Shannon?
No, from the first one.
The original.
The original
okay.
Zod.
The original Zod.
Oh,
okay.
Terrence Stamp.
Yeah, Terrence Stamp. Yeah.
Yeah,
When
I
he
was
pops up, I'm like, oh shit.
Did you and the other audience members like talk to each other?
No,
At the theater?
I literally, my seat was great. Well, I knew there was a problem when I bought the tickets in the morning and the entire theater was available to pick seats from. I chose seats dead center, and it was in the smaller theater. Last row, dead center, so I had nobody behind me and full view of the thing. And they were, for some reason, one picked all the way to the left of the theater, and the other one was like in the second row. And I'm like, you had the whole theater to pick seats. Like, why those seats?
Mark picked the primo jerkin seats.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we should normalize being able to yell to other audience members if there's only a few people in the audience.
I thought you were going to say we should normalize jerking it off in the theater.
No, I'm not Pee Wee Herman.
I was holding my breath there.
Paul Rubin.
If Paul Rubin can't do it, then no one can.
Paul Rubin has entered the chat.
I won't say that it didn't go through my head at some point, but I do not have the courage to do it. To when something crazy happened on screen, to just yell, "Do you see that shit?" to the other 2 people in the
Until
theater.
we get off this topic, you have to. Everyone's got to say, "No, I'm not about to talk about masturbating in the theater." Mark just said, not that it
I
had
almost worked up the courage.
I almost worked up the courage to jerk off at a theater.
Yeah, that's.
But yeah, I liked it. I wanted. It's one of the first movies I've seen in a while that I would say I would totally go back to the theater to see it again.
Yeah, I
So
would
that's
too. Oh, Ant, one thing.
Yeah.
Was it more horror than you were expecting?
No, I was. I thought so. That was the whole thing. I wanted to take my wife to see this, but she took one look at the first trailer and she's like, "Nope, there is no way I'm going to see this." And then I had seen the second trailer. I think played ahead of Halloween Kills. I was like, the second trailer really did not feel as horror-y as the first one seemed. So she watched that and she's like, I still don't really want to see it. I was like, okay. So I was expecting it to be less horror than the first trailer, and that's what
we went in with different expectations.
Yeah.
Okay. I was expecting it to be a little more psychological, than the horror that you get. Maybe it's just the third act that we keep coming back to, but
I think I'm just desensitized too. Because maybe my wife would say, you said that this was not supposed to be scary, and I'm scared shitless. I don't know.
Yeah. And also, I don't watch as much horror as you guys, so maybe it surprised me. Or I don't catch the cues in trailers.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all we watched. I'd probably give it like an 8.
Yeah. It's a solid 8, 8.5, something like that.
Yeah. I liked it. I liked it. But we are going to take a quick break before we get into this week's movie, and you guys are going to listen to some ads so we can pay those bills, and we'll be back in a second. And welcome back. Now it's time to get into this week's movie, and this week was Dan's pick. So Dan, why don't you tell us what you picked this week?
Sure. So, all this talk about Bond and all that, and obviously Daniel Craig had his last stint recently with No Time to Die. I thought, what better way to send Daniel Craig packing and just taking him to task for this movie, Cowboys and Aliens from 2011.
Okay. Yeah, where are you coming from with Cowboys and Aliens?
It was the first time I saw this movie. I mean, immediately when I saw the trailer for it, I was so disinterested in it. Like this had bomb written all over it, and I was correct as always, as I tend to be with movies. And I think when my parents got this for me for Christmas as like a stocking stuffer, and I watched it, awful. Thought it was so dull. I think I like spaced out at a few points. And the beauty of this movie is you can space out at multiple points and never lose track of what's happening. Cowboys versus aliens. That's that's the major plot point of this movie. So I saw it then. This is the second time I've watched it, and back when I first watched it, I didn't realize some of the great talent that we were going to be getting. Like Paul Dano is in it. So he was kind of he was up and coming at this point, and Wyatt Russell's in it for a split second. I didn't even realize that on my second watching. But again, now he's in Marvel movies. He's doing his thing. He had some good up and comers. I couldn't really appreciate it back then. Walton Goggins is in it. It's a star-studded cast, but goddamn, they do not hit the landing at all. They jump the vault, and I feel like they break their neck on the landing. It's terrible.
Okay, Mark, what about you? Where you come from?
So I am surprised that I've never seen this movie before. For two reasons. It somehow snuck through my two stretches of choosing movies to watch. The time when I would watch a movie just because I found one of the actresses attractive, which was with Olivia Wilde, obviously. And then also, I tried to watch every movie Sam Rockwell was in. Both times in those stretches, this movie was just a blind spot, just not there. Like Dan, I saw the trailers, didn't interest me at all. And yeah, it basically lived up to what I was expecting. Where it just felt like a bunch of people were told by their agents that this would be a great movie to be in. Because it was, I guess, is it from a story or something? Like some kind of novel?
Maybe a graphic novel.
I feel like this is like an agent going, oh, this is going to be the next big thing. It's going to be like The Walking Dead or something, Not that, I don't know if Walking Dead was out by this point, but you know what I mean by that. Like, you gotta get on the ground level here. And so they signed all up, and then like a day or two into shooting, they're just like, what the fuck did we decide to do here? This makes no sense. I was also happy that Clancy Brown was in it. I do always enjoy when he pops up in random things, including video games that I've played, because he just has a very great presence whenever he's on screen, at least to me. So that was fun. But yeah, for as much as I do enjoy Daniel Craig's Bond, probably my second favorite, I don't know what he was going for with this, or if he just got bored. And then Harrison Ford was just doing his, I'm just going to be Harrison Ford in this and not really play a character at all. So yeah, that's where I'm coming from with this. Yeah, it met my low expectations.
I, on the other hand, saw this in theaters.
Ooh.
And I don't remember a fucking thing about this movie.
It's a ringing endorsement.
If you look like before Dan had picked this movie, like the week before, you asked me, hey, try and think about, write down on a piece of paper every single movie that you've watched in theaters in the last 10 years. I could probably get about 70%, and this would be in the other 30%. I forgot this movie existed. And it's crazy to think that, because the director is coming off of 2 Marvel movies. The writer is coming off of Lost, as well as 2 other writers are coming off of 2, and I think, or 1 Star Trek movie, and would later write 2 more. The pedigree behind this movie is incredible. John Favreau is the director of this, and it's written by Damon Lindelof, Robert Orci, and Alex Kurtzman. So very established people in the genre of sci-fi adventure kind of films. And this movie super fails to deliver on the promise of what the title Cowboys and Aliens is going to deliver for you. Not in the fact that there are no cowboys or no aliens, but Cowboys and Aliens sounds like a fun movie, and this is anything but fun. There is so many tonal shifts that it gives you whiplash. Like Cowboys and Aliens, and the reason why Harrison Ford is in this movie is because he's Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones are fun, adventure, sometimes sci-fi movies, and everyone forgot to add the fun. It's incredible. We don't get any laugh lines, but we do get a woman getting torn apart from her insides out.
Yeah, on the
With-
operating table.
It like such a tonal shift for this movie. And like in the flashbacks, I thought she was being raped by aliens.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Jeez, really?
Yeah.
Because there's before he gets his full memory back, he remembers watching her dead on the floor, and like she's being moved, like she's being jerked around, but like
Right.
in emotion that looks very much like somebody is on top of her. And it winds up it's just he's misremembering the memory, and it winds up she's having her organs pulled out of her stomach. Which is just brutal for this fucking movie. The aliens just wind up being nameless, faceless aliens. Where's the fun in that? This is the reason why Universal Studios is not a park that necessarily needs to go to, because they haven't had like a hit movie like this in forever.
I had written down we're not going to see a Cowboys and Aliens theme park ride anytime soon.
Right? Like they still have the Mummy ride with Brendan Fraser, and it's because they've got nothing. They have no movies that they could make rides out of. Fast and the Furious is like the other experience that they have in that. They
Right,
literally
that's a
have
stunt
the
show, right?
And
Yeah.
little do they know that the Mummy is just now Brendan Fraser's just in it live action all the time.
Yeah.
It's not like shots from the movie. He just reenacts it for everyone.
But yeah, it's like Men in Black is there other or other IP that they try and churn out ever so often, and that bombed.
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie is so dull. Just
It's boring.
where's the fun? That's really all I thought about when I was watching this. This is like, who is this for?
Definitely
It's
not
not-
for kids.
At times it is for kids, right? Like certain parts early on when the aliens first show up, it's like, oh, okay, this is gonna be a popcorn blockbuster type of movie, and then it drags its feet. I don't know if it wants to be a western or not. At times, if it had just stayed your kind of run of the mill western movie, I think it would have been so much better. If you just drop aliens,
Yeah.
if you get rid of the aliens and you have it where Daniel Craig has amnesia, wandering the plains, coming across all types of bad folk, a town that needs his help or something along those lines. That would have been great.
Right.
We don't need once the aliens arrive. This movie takes a dive.
So you're pitching Born Identity, but in the Old West.
Yes, exactly. Anytime when a person loses their memory,
You need to get that in front of a Hollywood producer, Dan. You would definitely get money to make a script.
Absolutely.
yeah, I think that would have been great. And there's a twist in this movie that it's so unearned and so schlocky. I hated it. I remembered hating it the first time I saw it, and then
Are you talking about when Olivia Wilde is an alien?
yeah,
So
oh,
fucking
God.
stupid.
So dumb, and so lazy. Such a lazy writing where it's never hinted at, and there's no reason for it not to have been explained earlier, right? Like as soon as the aliens arrive, as soon as the aliens make their presence known, Olivia Wilde should have just come out and said, "Hey, I'm an alien. I can help you guys kind of beat these other aliens." So no need to hide my identity because aliens exist now. These weird creatures.
Sure.
So I don't understand what they were. I guess the big reveal they throw her in the fire. Good, like thankfully that they did that.
Yeah.
So happened to be thrown in the fire.
And I'm so glad that Jon Favreau or one of the writers had obviously seen. I might be the only one to pick up on this. Obviously seen Ernest Scared Stupid in that last scene where everybody's hugging their loved ones and Daniel Craig is just standing alone.
I think some
waiting
people
for her.
that have seen Ernest Scared Stupid. It was a pretty well known movie.
It made $14 million in theaters.
Yeah, I bet you some of these guys would have at least heard. And people know who Ernest is.
Yeah, except Daniel Craig didn't get the payoff.
That's I had read. There's nothing in
personal
that giant spaceship for me.
That's great. Oh, I'm glad we're on.
Yeah, and yeah, even the end, it's like they have it where the townsfolk are like, oh, they have amnesia too. Who gives a shit? It's the end. Why are you having it be like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't know you. We don't have enough time for this.
That's why they had them all remember when they said their name or something identifiable, and then it came back. It's like, oh, okay, that was all he needed, but his identifier was dead.
It's just weird. Right? We don't have enough time left in the movie for them to get their memory back. The movie has reached its climax. It's over. We've saved the townsfolk. We don't need them to not. We don't need to spend the next 2-3 minutes like, oh yeah, I don't remember you. Oh, I do remember you. It's over. Embrace. End of the movie.
Yeah. I felt all of the extra half hour that this movie has over most of the movies that we watch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That 90 minutes to 120 minutes, that's a killer.
Especially with a movie like this.
Yeah.
This was one movie I did not need longer.
Yeah. It's and going to the lazy writing again, the reason why the aliens are on Earth is gold.
Yep.
So why? They're an advanced technology, driven species. I'm sure they don't need gold. Gold probably has no real worth from wherever they're from. They have their own currency, I'd imagine.
Well, no, if you listen to Olivia Wilde, gold is just as scarce on their planet as it is here.
It's a conductor? What do you need gold for?
That was all she said. That was the explanation for why they needed gold.
I much would have rather you given me something. We're just here to enslave your kind. We go from planet to planet and we just wreck shit. That's why Olivia Wilde's character's there. They took over my planet. Just give me that. That makes way more sense than we wanted gold. For what? What are you gonna buy with it? What do you have on your alien planet?
Yeah, I mean that's what Harrison Ford says, right?
Yeah,
We're gonna buy stuff with it.
Well, it's like he's recording with us. Harrison Ford's with us. That was really good. Yeah, Harrison Ford's. This is when he stopped giving you shit.
I feel like when he saw the first cut of the movie and he saw those alien planes crashing, he got a little jealous. Man, I wish I was crashing my plane right about now.
Hey, he saved someone with his plane. All right, it's way more than what this movie's done for anybody, I'd imagine.
Oh yeah, this movie sucked. It was rough.
Again, such good talent.
It's just very mid. It's not even that it's bad. It's just very mid, as the kids would say.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
There's nothing special about it. The aliens don't look particularly cool. They have a design flaw too of their extra hands exposing their internal organ.
Yeah, their vagina body just opens up with these weird tentacle hands.
Yeah, I need Charles Darwin to weigh in on that one because that is not a feature of evolution that should continue through the generations.
Yeah, they look like grasshoppers almost.
Yeah,
it's a bad look.
I feel like it was a first draft of a Men in Black alien.
Maybe, yeah, could have been.
Yeah,
it's a very uninspired movie. I think that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, even Evolution. Remember that piece of shit that we watched? At least that tried to be funny.
And some of the alien designs were interesting.
Yeah.
That suffered from just a poor cast, I think, and obviously the story wasn't super strong, but yeah, it had comedy elements to it.
Yeah. And I don't even, like, I keep saying it like it's not funny, but it's not even that it's not funny. It's just not fun. I think because like Indiana Jones movies, keep coming back to Indiana Jones or like Back to the Future, all these classic action fun movies that they're not necessarily hilarious, but they're fun. People on screen look like they're having a good time. This everybody's miserable. And
Yeah.
and obviously for good reason. I mean, a lot of people are missing loved ones, but like then that's the problem of your story is that these people are essentially your main cast is in mourning. No one's having a good time. Everyone's really sad.
It sucks because like you have such a good cast, and then you waste Sam Rockwell. You waste
Completely
him.
wasted.
Completely wasted. He's not fun whatsoever. You have Adam Beach, who is your token Native American tracker, so you got to throw that in there. And it takes 40 minutes to see Daniel Craig shirtless. Unforgivable. Unforgivable, Jon Favreau. He should have, at the first shot of the movie, he wakes up shirtless, all right? That should have been step number one. So right from the get-go, you kind of screwed the pooch there.
Okay, so Cowboys and Aliens from 2011, directed by Jon Favreau, who is known for Iron Man, Iron Man 2, Elf, Chef, Zathura, The Jungle Book, and The Lion King. Stars Daniel Craig, Harrison Ford, Olivia Wilde, Abigail Spencer, Clancy Brown, Sam Rockwell, Paul Dano, Keith Carradine, Noah Ringer, Walton Goggins, Anna Beach, and Ana de la Reguera. Rotten Tomatoes score of 44% and an IMDb score of 6.0. Budget $163 million. Box office $100.2 domestic, $174 million global. It disappointed. I will say Olivia Wilde looks incredible in this movie. That's about like the nice thing I have to say about this.
Can I say the entire time I thought they went with the wrong Olivia. I like Munn more.
Really?
Yeah.
She's
Well,
problematic.
I don't think, yeah, but neither of them are particularly great actresses. I
feel like I like Olivia Wilde more.
That's fine. To each their own.
Yeah. I mean, you brought it up. I'm just saying I disagree with you.
No, yeah. And you know what? That's what makes this podcast great, because we don't always agree with each other.
There you go. So you want to get into the plot?
Yeah.
All right, Dan, what do you got?
Mark doesn't want to get into the plot. That's how much he hates this.
Yeah.
I don't want to
pile
do
of
this.
shit.
All right, so just a quick shout out to our good friends of the podcast, Tia and Brittany. We want you to go check out their podcast, Tea Time with Tia. Tia and Brittany just talking about random shit, pretty much. Two good friends talking about random movies, TV, you name it, they're talking about it. Very nice people. Go check them out at gvnation.com, Geek Vibes Nation. Head writer for that website, so you'll find all of her articles there, her reviews. And Brittany is a streamer, Itty Bitty Brit at twitch.tv/Itty Bitty Brit. There we go.
Okay, great. And we're going to take a quick break, and you guys are going to listen to some messages from friends of the podcast, and we will be right back.
Hey, this is Ken M.
Padawan J.
Coach Duffy from the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour podcast. Every week, the ODPH is talking sports, movies, TV, comics, and more. It's always a parlay of topics on each episode. You can find the ODPH on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, and wherever you find great podcasts, such as the one you're listening to right now. Don't forget to check out OchoDuroParlayHour.com, where you can find the links to all of the ODPH social media accounts, links to the bands whose music you hear each week on the show, hashtag 607 podcast info, and parlay points, our companion blog section of the show. Thanks for listening to the ODPH. Now get back to your regularly scheduled podcast.
Welcome, travelers. Seems like you're looking for a story. Well, I got one for you. It involves adventure, friendship, and all sorts of...
Earl, why don't you tell him about that time I stole that big-ass melon?
Yeah, I was going for more...
Or you could tell him about the time I kicked your ass, Earl.
I wouldn't ever tell him.
Do I need to get my ref gear on?
Okay, everyone, shut up. Now come with me as I tell you a story from afar. Hey everybody, my name's David. I'm the DM for From Afar Podcast. From Afar Podcast is all about four friends separated by distance but brought together by adventure. Hope you all stop by and give us a listen. Thanks.
And welcome back. Now it's time to get into the plot for Cowboys and Aliens. We open as James Bond wakes up in the middle of the desert with a wound on his side and some sort of metal contraption on his wrist with no direct way of removing it. But as he tries to remove it, a group of bounty hunters come upon him and try to take him in for a possible bounty. And makes quick work of them, killing them all, stealing their shoes and their horses and a dog. He rides off.
Can I interject real quick?
Mhm.
Are you guys tired of the trope where someone wakes up without their normal clothes on, and they have to get someone else's clothing? It was cool for Terminator 2.
Mhm.
Or in the first two Terminators, that was cool, and like McClane having to get the shoes. But I don't like it. I think it's a waste of time.
I never thought about it.
No, yeah, same.
To me, it's not as cool in this movie.
Gotcha.
He's just trying on different people's shoes. It was done without that, I guess.
Just needed a montage.
Right.
This movie could have been an hour and 55 minutes.
Just him going around killing people trying on shoes. That would have been cool.
Yeah.
So he rides off and makes it to a nearby town that seems pretty uninhabited. He sneaks into a church and he tries to clean himself up. And then Clancy Brown pulls a gun on him, asks him what his name is, what he's doing there, but Daniel Craig doesn't remember anything. So Clancy Brown, who's the preacher at the town, stitches him up as best he can, and then they hear some shooting going on outside. They go out to see Percy Dollarhide, spoiled rich kid played by Paul Dano, shooting wildly into the street of the town for no apparent reason other than his dad is rich and no one is going to stop him. Sam Rockwell. Go ahead.
I was waiting to see if you would mention. Finish your sentence.
Yep. Sam Rockwell as Doc tries to come out to stop him, but then Percy breaks his glasses and starts shooting at his feet. So the preacher and Daniel Craig come out, and the preacher tries to stop him from doing worse to Doc.
If you would tell me that there was a scene involving Clancy Brown, Daniel Craig, Sam Rockwell, and Paul Dano, and it was the most boring confrontation scene that I've ever seen, I would be shocked until I saw this movie. It's like at least two really good actors, a great character actor, and a up and coming, at the time, Dano. And none of them seemed like they wanted to be there in this.
Yeah, all pieces are there. It just doesn't go anywhere. So then Percy decides that he wants to take everyone's pocket money, but when he gets to Daniel Craig, Craig calls his bluff and walks off. As a show of I mean business, Percy shoots off in another direction, but winds up accidentally shooting a bystander across the street. Sheriff comes in and tells Percy that he has to take him in. Meanwhile, some of Percy's dad's workers are out in the desert, and one of them gets super drunk and shits on Mr. Dollarhide, then literally goes off to shit in the river. Then something crash lands on Earth. Cut back to the jail, and Percy pleads with the sheriff, telling him it was all an accident, and the sheriff sees a wanted poster for Daniel Craig, and it says his name is Jake Lonergan. At Doc's saloon, Doc is trying to shake off what happened in the street with Percy, but is feeling emasculated by both Percy and his own wife. Lonergan comes in and orders a drink. Then Olivia Wilde comes up to him, staring at him like she knows him. They talk a bit, and then the sheriff comes in and says that he needs to come with him and his deputies. So Jake refuses. Then he fights off all the deputies and pulls a gun on the sheriff, but then Olivia Wilde knocks him out from behind. Lonergan. Okay.
This needed Jason Bourne cuts in it, or or something, because the cuts they tried to make in this was, I guess, Favreau trying to do like Marvel Iron Man action, and it just doesn't work for what it is intentionally trying. Which is what's going on here, is a guy being so much quicker than everyone else, and taking away the guns, but you don't feel any of that.
So Lonergan wakes up in a jail next to Percy, and Percy tells him that his daddy is going to kill him and it's going to hurt. So Lonergan grabs him through the bars and slams him into the jail cell wall. Meanwhile, Dollarhide, Harrison Ford, comes across his cattle slaughtered as torturing one of his workers for answers. A couple of men come back from town to tell him that Percy got arrested, and he promptly blames them for it. Back at the jail, Sheriff tells Lonergan that he's going to transfer him to the federal marshals. Percy's going with him. As he puts them on a wagon to send them off, Dollarhide and his men ride into town to stop the sheriff. He also recognizes Lonergan as the man who stole gold from him. As they argue, strange lights start to appear on the horizon. As they get closer, the lights start firing on the town, leveling buildings and causing random chaos. The thing on Lonergan's wrist starts to light up and come to life. He breaks Percy's hands to free themselves from being tethered together. Then he uses his wrist thing to blow a hole in the carriage. They also start sneaking in people's windows, snatching them up. The aliens, that is. They snatch up Doc's wife, Percy, and the sheriff, and basically level the town. Jake uses the wrist cannon to shoot down the ship, and then one of the aliens runs off into the desert.
Real quick,
Mhm.
when Daniel Craig breaks Paul Dano's wrist to get out, that's never resolved at the end of the movie. And I really wish they would have brought that back. That would have been fucking hilarious, right? Like he frees Paul Dano from the alien hypnotizing or whatever. Just immediately like, oh my god, my wrist! Jesus Christ, it hurts so much. It's been broken for days now without medical attention. Help me, please.
He has to get it amputated.
Right, it's
The
gone
last scene,
gangrenous.
he's got no one. He's only got one hand.
Help me. That would have been hilarious. I wish that would have been, if they added that one part and Daniel Craig shirtless more, that would have made this movie 10 times better.
There you go.
Easily.
Jake heads out of town and Ella follows him. They wind up in a cabin where Jake has a memory of being abducted along with a woman that he has some sort of relationship with. This is after a fight over the fact that he robbed a stagecoach for some gold. Jake and Ella then go back into town and they start a posse to track down the aliens. It's Jake, Ella, Doc, Dollarhide, his guys, including Adam Beach as some sort of possible illegitimate son of Dollarhide, the sheriff's grandson, and the preacher, too. They set out, and there's some infighting and posturing. Doc, for instance, is at best a pacifist, at worst a coward, and some of Dollarhide's men try to goad him into a confrontation. But more or less, the first day goes without much controversy. At night, they find a beach showboat, which was upended by the aliens, and the preacher tries to teach Doc how to shoot, but it doesn't go well, and he gets frustrated with himself. Later on in the night, okay.
I do like the line here that probably seemed funny on the page, but it's just either delivered very poorly or doesn't actually work well. Is when I forget who says it, goes, which shows you how good it was. I don't know much about boats, but I think that one's upside down. And they're probably like, oh, that's going to get a laugh. We got to get this down. You know,
that was their attempt at humor.
Yeah, that was like, oh man, see, because the boat's actually upside down. Ha ha.
You get it?
You get it?
I like how Harrison Ford knows exactly how far away the nearest river that can hold a boat that size is, too. We're 500 miles away from a river that holds that kind of boat. Oh, okay, thanks. I'm glad you know that.
He's some kind of Rain Man of topography.
Right.
Well, he is 75. He has been around.
Yeah.
He just knows the exact mileage. It's pretty good. He's the GPS of the Wild West.
Yeah.
Later on in the night, the dog starts barking because he found something. The sheriff's grandson goes to check it out and comes face to face with an alien. As it's about to attack, the preacher comes in and starts shooting at it, but attacks the preacher fatally and leaves when Jake shows up with his wrist thing. In the morning, they bury the preacher, and Jake and Doc take a moment to say a few words, and they're off. As they ride, they get held up by a bunch of outlaws, including Walton Goggins, who recognizes Jake as the leader of the whole outfit. Jake still doesn't remember, but he pretends like he does and convinces Goggins to bring him to the camp in order to bulk up on supplies. When they do, it comes to light that Jake ran off with more than his fair share of the last robbery, and some are not particularly pleased. So one of the guys takes it upon himself to beat the shit out of Jake, until Jake uses his wrist cannon to blow a hole in the guy's chest, and then a chase ensues. Like, blowing a hole in the guy's chest is not a fun movie thing to happen. You know?
No. It's especially because we've seen the power of that, what that wrist cannon can basically do.
Yeah.
It would have been better if, maybe they had solved that problem different way. I guess they just got to get to the aliens, so.
Yeah, it all settled on, again, trying to make a joke of him going, I told you not to call her that again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why didn't they just shoot the shit out of him after that? You know, like, you have all the guns trained on him.
Yeah. But like, it like could have been like a sort of thing where he just gets, they're about to fight, and then, Indiana Jonesing it, just shoot him.
Yeah. They're getting ready for this big showdown, and just boom, gone.
As the posse gets chased by the outlaws, the alien ships come from over the horizon from the other direction, causing the posse to head back the other way. Chaos ensues as the ships start shooting at everyone. They wind up snatching up Ella with one of those weird grappling hooks that just seems so inelegant for a species that has mastered interstellar travel.
What do you think a beam would have been better?
Yeah.
I thought so too.
It's like some sort of Wild Wild West sort of steampunk thing going on.
Yeah. It felt like a Dr. Octopus kind of, I thought that was kind of interesting. I would like to have seen the beam.
Yeah.
Way more elegant. It's a lot cleaner.
Mm-hmm. Unless you got a big boy and you need to use 2 tractor beams.
Exactly, yeah. They didn't master that yet, that's why. They didn't know how heavy these Earthlings were.
Yeah. Jake climbs onto the ship and attacks the pilot alien who crash lands the ship, and Jake and Ella jump into a river to safety. As they crawl to land, they have a moment, but it is interrupted by the alien pilot coming out of the water in order to yeet Ella across the Louisiana Purchase. Jake kills the alien and attends to Ella's wounds and carries her back to everyone else. When he gets her back to the group, it's too late. She's died. And then they are immediately taken immediately taken prisoner by an Apache tribe. The tribe brings them to their chief, who blames the white man for bringing the aliens to Earth, and the tribe throws Ella's body onto the fire, which I don't know, is probably just for shits and giggles, but she is reborn as a naked Olivia Wilde.
I like how they held on that shot far too long, where she's naked. I mean, you don't see anything regardless, which is neither here nor there. But Daniel Craig approaches her, and he
takes forever with that blanket.
He takes forever. Like, all right, we just see her back. What is there to really for the audience to see? I get it if obviously in that time period it was probably amazing to see a woman like Olivia Wilde naked. It was probably made a lot of people's lives back in the day, I would imagine. But for the audience, that does nothing.
There was so much jerking off happening that night.
Oh God, yeah, the spank banks were chock full.
She explains that she is from another world, but not one of the alien race that they are fighting. That sounds suspicious.
They say what world? I forget.
Not that I remember.
I figured lazy.
Yeah.
Where are you from? I'm from.
Yeah, and it's the whole contact thing too. Of like, I took this form so you would accept me as one of your own.
Right.
Oh,
and again, we know that aliens exist, so you very easily could have just came out and said, "Yeah, listen, I know how to stop them. So let's stop beating around the bush."
I don't know if this movie changes if she's just human, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Is she a spirit? I don't know.
Like if she's just a human in this movie, nothing changes really. You can
that's true. She won't come back from the dead,
right?
I mean, she's the one that blows up the spacecraft. That's her. But why?
But the only reason why she dies at the point she dies is so she can come back.
That's right.
But you're right. It wouldn't have made a difference.
Yeah.
Regardless,
Like she could sacrifice herself at the end because like maybe her husband was taken by them and he didn't make it.
Sure. Yeah, that would have been great. Or why not? You couldn't do Harrison Ford because he has a son.
Yeah. Harrison Ford's not sacrificing himself for nobody.
No, unless it's to get out of a saga.
Or unless it's just he just wants to crash his plane again. He does it a lot. That's all I'm saying.
So now I'm kidding. Has this happened more than once? I thought it was just the one.
I think it's at least twice he has crashed his plane.
Well, he's walked away. Wow, that's incredible. Impressive. Yeah, I thought this reveal was just super, super, super lame.
Yeah,
and unnecessary. I guess it was one of those like, oh wow, and just was more upset because I was like, oh, that's great. Olivia Wilde died. That's awesome. And they brought her back, and I was sad.
No balls, right?
Exactly. Yeah, no one can just stay dead.
Nope. And they actually wiped out her people, and she came to Earth to help warn of aliens. The attacking aliens are after gold and are abducting people to conduct experiments, which kind of just seems like kind of tacked on. Like they're after the gold, and also just because they love to just rip us open and see what's on the inside.
It's an added bonus.
Yeah. While I'm here,
right? We're just gonna not rip people apart. Come on, what are we doing then? Why are we even here? And again, no point in having the gold. It's essentially how you go to a different country and your money is kind of worthless at that point. They have their own currency. You would transition to their currency, right?
Right.
I would imagine gold probably doesn't have the same value on a planet that's light years away.
Yeah. I would just. What if it was like they at least a better explanation? It's just as valuable. It's like what if back on the alien home planet they have robots that gold melted down fuels their circuits.
Sure.
There you go. It goes,
and they need it.
It goes back to Mark's old theory. Just give me one sentence. One sentence that explains it. That's all I need. And I'm with you. I'm 100% behind you, but I need that sentence.
But I mean, they tried, right? Like it's valuable, but
yeah,
yeah. Adding the why,
yeah.
is
You
it
need
valuable?
that one sentence, but why?
Yeah,
lazy writing.
Yep. Goddamn, probably was trying to figure out damn it, I lost my momentum. There. how they screw up Lost. That's where I was going.
I'm not editing this episode, so we're gonna have to live with that.
It's going in.
What's also weird is that they're coming for gold, and one of the first lines that Clancy Brown says is that everyone left because there isn't any gold here.
Yeah,
it's the M. Night Shyamalan of they come to a water-filled planet, and it's exactly it's the only thing that can kill them.
Yeah, here it's like, oh, there's some gold, but like not enough to make the trip.
That would have been like, hey guys, you wasted your time here. Maybe try like San Francisco or something. I don't know.
I wonder if the insinuation is that the reason there's not much gold is because the aliens have been taking it all.
Maybe that would have been great if they had
explained that.
Yeah, we don't know when they came.
Yeah,
for all we know, they just arrived, like literally that day when Daniel Craig wakes up.
Right. Well, they didn't seem like they were being conspicuous, so they were. I mean, I should reverse say they were being very conspicuous in terms of taking people and leveling entire towns. So it's not like they were hiding.
No, I do enjoy that their spaceship tried to resemble the rock formation. Like it's clearly not a rock.
Yeah,
it's
like those power lines that try to look like trees but aren't trees.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's the Simpsons gag when they hide the flying saucer behind the bush. The giant. It's just like this one little bush is hiding a fraction of it. Like, oh my god, you really fooled us there.
Yeah. So in order to find the mothership, the tribe's medicine man gives Jake a psychedelic tea, and it starts to unlock his memories. He starts to trip balls, but it works. The events of his abduction start to come into view. He remembers being on an experimentation table and watching the aliens basically tear the woman from his dreams apart, Alice. He also remembers killing the shit out of the alien, or actually just wounding him. They're trying to do the same thing to him. But he then remembers where the mothership is. So they head to the mothership and they do some recon. And then Jake just leaves. Well, everyone thinks he just up and left them. He actually headed back to his old outlaw crew to recruit them to help them fight the aliens. Meanwhile, Nat, played by Adam Beach, speaks to the tribe and convinces them to help them fight also. So now the posse is rolling plenty men deep, with the Apache and the outlaws on their side. Plant some explosives on the mothership, and it's a pretty big explosion. Knocks out at least one of the fighter ships, but that kicks off a full-on battle. Aliens start coming out of the ship and shooting their pulse guns at everyone. As everyone on the ground fights, Jake and Ella look for a way into the mothership in order to free the people. The fight is certainly not going too well. Nat eventually gets attacked and is fatally wounded. Dollarhide tries to save him, but his gun runs out of ammo, and then Doc lands a bullseye, shooting him in the face as it goes for Dollarhide.
It's supposed to be a like celebratory moment, I'm assuming, in the theater, but I just was like, oh, well, I didn't see that foreshadowing coming.
Yeah, Doc got his dick back.
Yep.
It's very phallic. Basically, he could have said that he couldn't get it up in the beginning of the movie, and now he's got it full strong.
All it took was an alien invasion.
Should have showed him at the end of the movie with like her pregnant, because that wouldn't have been so obvious.
Yeah, drive the point home.
6 more months.
Oh man, yeah, and I love how it's like the worst character keeps getting saved by everyone else. Like Dollarhide is just getting his ass saved by the Apache chief, Doc, his surrogate son. Why can't Harrison Ford just suck it up and get killed? No one wanted him to live in this.
Yeah, right. Of all the characters that could die, and yeah, he's definitely one of them.
Yeah, they did the terrible thing that happens in movies, is they redeemed the racist by the end. His character is seen as evil in the beginning, and shows that he is basically a racist through most of the movie, and then at the end it's like, oh no, he's a good guy because he kidnapped this Native American kid, or might have killed his family and then kidnapped the boy. But
I don't know if
he's a good man.
I don't know if it's insinuated that he's the one that killed the parents.
I'm gonna go with that.
It's definitely possible.
It's left up to the viewer's imagination, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and it's so lame. Go, what's Adam Beach saying? Like, oh well, he's a great warrior, but he hates violence. Bullshit. This is the Wild West, and it's killing Native Americans. I'm sure he took great pleasure in it. But he had a heart of gold, and when my parents died by his hand, possibly, he took me in and raised me as his son.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
good, great.
I was waiting for the scene when he is dying. And Harrison Ford has him in his arms, and he just waiting for Harrison Ford to go to say, "You were my son too."
I couldn't have asked for a better son. Except for the son I have, who I'm going to give everything to. So your sacrifice really doesn't matter.
At least he gets a restart on Percy, right? It's like,
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, if you don't remember anything, you were like a really good person.
Yeah, right. That's the best thing to do. Oh yeah, like you did everything. You were such a hard worker. You tended the crops and the cattle.
Everyone likes you.
Yeah, that's what I would do as a parent if my kid like, yeah, no, you're a straight A student. You did all the chores around the house. You're just you didn't hang out with any bad people. Just a real stand-up citizen. I like how I'm already imagining my child just being a giant douchebag. It's inevitable.
So Dollarhide then has an emotional goodbye with Nat, telling him he always wish he had a son like him. And then the tables turn and the Apaches start leading everyone into success in battle. Meanwhile, Jake and Ella make their way further and further into the mothership. Jake uses his wrist cannon to kill a bunch of the aliens, while Ella works to free the imprisoned people. Eventually, all the prisoners escape, but Jake kills a whole lot of aliens. But then Ella moves deeper into the mothership, and Jake chases after her.
I just needed this scene with Jake shooting the aliens to be more shot like the Doom movie.
That would have been cool.
Just make it look like a first-person shooter. Like that's all this. Yeah, I was like, you're already done the dumb, boring shit. Why don't do something really crazy?
Well, that would be having fun, Mark.
Yeah,
right. What this movie wants to do.
Serious movie, yeah.
Yeah. So the fighting continues outside, and one of the aliens starts chasing the sheriff's grandson up the mountain and into a cave. And when it tries to use its weird chest hands, the grandson stabs it with a knife in the heart, which is a serious design flaw.
I like the idea of chest hands.
Jake follows Ella into the main part of the mothership, and she tells him that she came here to destroy the mothership. So she tells her to stop thinking, and the wrist cannon will come off, which it does, and then she takes it and moves deeper into the ship. And then Jake starts to get attacked by some aliens. Outside...
Is this supposed to be an homage to Predator?
I do not know.
Okay, just curious.
Outside, the fighting continues, and the posse sees the imprisoned people coming over the hill. As Jake moves deeper into the ship, he comes across an experimentation chamber where he sees recordings of himself getting tortured. Then the alien that he scarred when he escaped attacks him and puts him into an experimentation bed in order to torture him some more. With the last-minute Dollarhide shows up to shoot at it, and Jake shoots at it, and it gets distracted and winds up shooting into a vat of melted gold, which melts the alien. And as Dollarhide and Jake make their escape, the mothership starts to shake and take off, but Ella crawls her way into the center of the ship, uses the wrist cannon as a bomb, and explodes the whole ship.
So this whole sequence inside that ship, when they were getting to the main part, my broken brain was expecting the double cross to come from Ella. After she got the wrist cannon thing, and we're just
she's the bad alien.
Yeah, like peace, Jake. And then just goes into the ship, and ship goes away.
And then just wounds him, shoots him before she leaves.
Yeah, I was waiting for that to happen.
Yeah.
This movie's not clever enough.
again, that would have been having fun, as Ant would say.
Yeah. But Ella crawls her way to the center and blows up. Everyone is reunited with their loved ones, even though the captured ones don't remember too much. And Jake rides away, going back to the cabin and leaving flowers on the table. As the town celebrates, the town uses the gold they took back from the aliens to rebuild a town. Jake gets ready to leave town. Dollarhide tries to convince him to stay. Jake says he's a wanted man, but Dollarhide and the sheriff agree that they're pretty sure Jake Lonergan is legally dead. But Jake rides off to the sequel that doesn't exist. And that is the end of Cowboys and Aliens. Not a good one. Not a very fun one. It just kind of exists.
It's a movie.
It is. They called this a movie.
Yeah, it's definitely a movie.
Yeah, I didn't take me until they went to credits. The whole time I was going, they're not going to just literally have him ride off in the sunset, huh?
Oh, they did.
You know, and then when it went to credits, it was like, oh, that's just what they did. Okay.
They should have had the credits going over him riding
into the sunset.
At least give us that.
And always part of me, Marvel has ruined me in any movie. I'm like, will there be a mid-credits stinger?
Especially, yeah, Jon Favreau directed it too.
Yeah.
One of the aliens managed to hit the SOS button.
Yeah.
And then there it cuts to
Olivia Wilde's character waking up somewhere.
Oh god, that would have been terrible. That would have been even worse.
It's like same thing happened with last night in Soho. It was near the end, and I was like, "Oh, I really gotta, go use the bathroom." But there might be a mid-credits scene here.
I thought you were gonna tell me there were aliens in it. It was just like last night in Soho, the aliens invade. I'm like, God damn it.
No. So, spoilers. Then there's no mid-credits or end credit sequence in Last Night. So
that's perfectly fine for me. I'm glad to hear that.
So you don't stay.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that's Cowboys and Aliens. I don't really have much to say. It's not fun, and that's the biggest thing. Is that it's not fun and it should be. A movie called Cowboys and Aliens should be fun. It's not asking it enough.
No.
Like nobody says a funny line. Sam Rockwell's there. He's not being his fun Sam Rockwell self. Yeah.
Yeah. Just uninteresting. Total miss.
Very much. And that's why no one remembers it.
Yeah. Yeah. I probably enjoyed Wild Wild West way more over.
Yeah.
I think that one actually had it has humor in it. I mean, it's not necessarily great humor, but at least it lands some line.
Yeah. It feels more like a summer blockbuster. When we came out at the end of July, and everyone's having a miserable time. That's really what
including the audience.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
You know what? I was gonna say real quick. I'm sure in about I'll say 2 to 3 years, we'll get those people on Twitter who's like, is this overhated? A thread.
Underseen masterpiece.
Right. Yeah, this is just like people don't get it. Like it's so much fun. We can't just have something we hate. Can't hate anything anymore.
Everything's got to be re-examined. It's just like we said, sometimes movies are just not good. And
it happens.
It's still okay for you to like those movies, but just admit that you're liking it despite it being objectively bad. And this movie is objectively bad. It doesn't successfully do what it sets out to do.
We've entered Catwoman stage with Halle Berry.
Oh yeah, everybody's talking about how like that was the whole thing that came out not too long, like recently, about like best Catwoman. I don't know why people hate this movie so much.
Yeah,
because it sucked.
Yeah, it was bad. Yeah, that's it. Like you can like Halle Berry.
Just because she looks good in the Catwoman suit they gave her doesn't mean it's a good movie.
Right. I think everyone involved would imagine, it wasn't good. And it's okay. It's okay to not have a good movie.
Yeah.
It happened.
And where were you all when Andrew Garfield was trying to make money on the Spider-Man movies? You assholes.
Right. Halle Berry had posted, where were you for Catwoman? To be honest, they were probably like 4 years old.
Right. Yeah.
So I give them a pass. But Andrew Garfield, where were you guys?
Yeah, you left him out there. You left him out there to die.
Yeah, it's not until Tom Holland came around where people were like, well, Andrew Garfield's better. Well, yeah, you had your shot.
Yeah.
You could have helped him and you didn't. So that's on you.
Yeah. All right, you guys want to plug your shit?
Yeah, I'm just gonna plug our Extra Life campaign coming up real quick. I know, Mark, you can get into it a little bit more, but Extra Life is something that we do once a year, every November. We raise money for the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. We have the link going on right now, so you can donate through the end of the year. Great cause. We stream for 24 hours. We play a bunch of different games. We play Dungeons and Dragons to start it off. It's a lot of fun. If you can donate, that's great. If not, tell a friend. Maybe they can help. So anything you can do is very much appreciated.
Yes, as Dan said, Extra Life is Saturday, November 13th. We'll be starting 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with a session of Stranger Damies. And Stranger Damies, if you do not know, is our D&D podcast. It airs usually every other Wednesday, but I've been trying to edit these episodes a little bit better, so they're taking a little bit longer. So new one will probably be out, if not when this episode airs it on Friday. But most importantly, be on the lookout next week, probably at some point either Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, depending on when we can all get together to record. We're going to be doing a quick lead-in to the Extra Life stream with a Talking to Strangers, which is my talk show with all the players on Stranger Damies, and to just get ready for the Extra Life, make some announcements, and just as we normally do on that Extra Life Talking to Strangers. So be on the lookout for that. And then we have our gaming podcast, the Game Vault podcast, that airs every other Monday. Be sure to check that out anywhere you get podcasts. We're on Instagram and Twitter at Game Vault Pod. Basically all socials. Just type for that. You should be able to find us. And then we have our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Game Vault Pod, which is also where Extra Life will be hosted. So be sure to check that out. We stream 3 days a week. Mondays is our old school RPG sort of games that Tom likes to play. Wednesday is our multiplayer Wednesdays, where we play through the three of us get together and play a multiplayer game. Right now we're currently playing Back 4 Blood, but probably getting in some Halo Infinite when that comes out. Just games like that. Just to have fun and sort of, just shoot the shit. And on Thursdays is my co-op stream, where I play through a co-op game with a friend. Right now I'm currently playing through It Takes Two with Jen. We're almost done. So if you haven't checked this out and you're listening to this live when it broadcast, be sure to jump right on in. We're near a good part and climax of the game. So it's always a good time. We have some fun with the chat. So be sure to head on over there. And we're hoping to add a couple more days of streaming, or at least one more day, as we get into the holiday season here. Just, a little bit of thank you for the audience that has arrived. And be sure on everything that we have mentioned to like, share, and subscribe. We love your feedback and your support.
Okay, great. And we are They Called This Movie. You can find us on all podcast streaming apps just by searching They Called This Movie. So that's Podbean, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, that's where you can find us. We are themaindamie.com. That's our main website. And you can find us on all socials just by searching The Main Damie. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Search for The Main Damie and we'll pop right up. We are part of Geek Vibes Nation. You can find them at gvnation.com and on all socials and all podcast streaming apps just by searching Geek Vibes Nation. Tons of great shows if you're into geek stuff. Surely there's a show for you. We are on TikTok. Just look for They Called This Movie on TikTok, where you can see quick clips of our podcast, and subscribe to us there and just keep up to date there as well. If you want to hit us up and tell us to watch a movie, themaindamie@gmail.com is our email address. Tell us we suck. Tell us we're great. We'd love to hear from you either way. If you have any time, go onto your podcast app of choice. Give us a 5-star review. It really helps us get seen. And that's going to wrap us up this week. The director of Cowboys and Aliens is Jon Favreau. So for Dan Aquino and Mark Myers, this is Anthony Delvecchio telling Jon Favreau, well, you certainly made a movie, didn't you?